Good evening. I'd like to dedicate this year in memory of the late Alan, that's Aaron Ben Tzvi Yehuda, whose Shloshim is this evening. He was well known to many of us, and yeah, I think our study this evening shall be, in his memory and for the elevation of his neshama. I want to talk tonight about a mitzvah that is rare. Not many people have fulfilled it. Takes up a few verses in this week's parsha, and it has very significant mystical relevance, and it's one of the reasons why people should make an effort to fulfill it. But it's not always that easy to do that. And I'm talking about the mitzvah called Shiluach Haken. Um, Shiluach Haken is the mitzvah of sending away the mother bird. So we're going to see in the text in the parasha in a moment. You have a bird, and she's hovering over her young ones, or they could be just eggs in the nest. And you have a mitzvah of sending the mother bird away before you take the little ones, either eggs or little birds away, so she doesn't witness the pain of losing her young ones. I guess she comes back to an empty nest, and within seconds, the bird brain has forgotten that there were even eggs or birds, and the bird moves on. But during the act of removing the little ones, the mother shouldn't be present. So it's first glance seen as an act of compassion towards the mother. We're going to take it further. So a nest happens to be before you're on the way. This is a quote from the Parsha. And the tree, any tree on the ground, young birds or eggs, and the mother is sitting upon the young or upon the eggs. You shall not take the mother bird away together with the young. You shall surely send away the mother, take the young for yourself, so that it may be well for you and you may lengthen your days. So the Torah really promises you a reward for this particular mitzvah. And we actually did spend some years ago quite a bit of time together in this Wednesday night shiur dealing with the mitzvah, and it's a way it's fulfilled, etc. But the reality is it's not very common that you just found a nest. They're normally kind of higher up and not accessible. Uh, and I think people don't really appreciate the importance. Um, these Hebrew words are forever ingrained in my memory. I think it was the summer of '76, and I spent it in the Catskills in a camp called Gan Yisrael in Parksville. And the room next to me, they had a record player with a single 33 LP. Um, and the first song on that record was this. And so every single night, late in the evening, they would blast the music. Those were the guys in the next door room. And they would get to kind of the end of the first song. And I think somebody would come and tell them, this is keep people awake and switch off your they call them turntable, record player. But that song haunted me right through that summer every single night. And so the words are ingrained in my memory. Shalachta shalachetayim, shalechta shalachetayim. It was a very, I think, London School of Jewish song, very pitched, very high pitched. Little boys choir singing this. But anyway, um, powerful, powerful mitzvah. Um, and we promised a long life for doing this. What we find is beyond just the practical mitzvah and the seeming humane aspect here of not causing the mother bird pain. Um, there's allusions to Mashiach in this verse. So the word for a bird's nest is a kain tzipor. Kain tzipor, the um, words called Roshei Tevot, the first letters of the word. If you take the Kuf of Ken and the Tzadi of Tzipor, you get the word Kates. Kates means the end of time. Um, and the word Kates is always used in reference to Mashiach and the end of time. I think the earliest reference we have is when Yaakov calls his sons around his deathbed, and it says he says, "I'm going to tell you what's going to happen in the end of time," and then he doesn't. Rashi says he wanted to reveal the Kates, the end of time, and he just didn't get there because he lost the power of prophecy to be able to share that with his sons. At that point, we have the word Kates in the Haggadah, where it talks about how Hashem calculated the end of times. Kadosh Baruch Hu, Hishevet HaKates is the paragraph just before V'hishamda, which we sing. And Hashem counted the end of time. That is the redemption, the freedom from Mitzrayim, from Egypt at the time. But we use the word Kates. Also, book of Daniel at the end, where he talks about the calculations, very cryptic, and nobody can get them. He talks about Asher Mechashavet HaKates. This is how you count the days to the end of time. So here's one allusion to Mashiach, where he talks about the bird's nest and the acronym formed by the first letters of that name. Then we find the word aim for the mother. And that Aleph and Mem has powerful message of redemption. And we find that redemptions through history happen through a powerful pair whose initial names are Aleph and Mem. So from Egypt, we're redeemed by the duo called Aaron and Moshe, whose names begin Aleph and Mem. In Shushan, the story of Purim, who were the agents of redemption? Again, Aleph and Mem, Esther and Mordechai. And then the ultimate redemption is going to be brought about by Eliyahu and Mashiach. Eliyahu coming a few days before to announce the redemption, Mashiach actually bringing the redemption. So Aleph and Mem also is a word. It means a mother. In this case, it's sending away the mother to get to little birds. So there's a powerful illusion there, and who draws it out straight is the Medrash. The Medrash says the following. That's Medrash Devarim Rabbah. So it's on our verse. And the Medrash says, what do you mean? Shaleach teshalach et ha'em? Says the Medrash, if you fulfill this mitzvah, you're going to hasten the coming of Mashiach. Rabbi Tanchuma takes it further and says, if you fulfill this mitzvah, you hasten the coming of Elijah, the prophet of blessed memory. So that's not an argument between the two opinions. There are two paragraphs, they complement each other. Fulfilling this mitzvah will bring about Mashiach quickly. And in fact, if you look at Shaleach to Shalach, translated in English as you shall surely send away the mother, that's a double verb. And double verb refers to two acts of sending away, of sending. Here is the one is Elijah, and the other one refers to Mashiach. How so? What is the link to sending Mashiach? I mean, sending the mother bird away, sending Mashiach down here. That's the last verse in Tanakh actually, or in Nevi'im, in prophets is a prophet. Prophet is Malachi, and the very last verse is penultimate verse, I think, chapter 3:23. Behold. Anochi shaleach lachem et Eliyahu Navi. Behold, I'm sending you Elijah the prophet. That's before the coming of the great and awesome day of Hashem. So the Medrash basically is drawing that principle that I mentioned before in the shiur of Gzera Shava, where the same term is used in two different contexts, and how we draw a link between them and a comparison between them. So essentially, this act of sending, we have sending in this verse here, shalach et sending the mother away, and we have the same term for sending Elijah the prophet, shaleach lachem et Eliyahu Navi. The sages make a comparison. Um, what is the link? What is the connection? Why these two mitzvot beyond just what is seems to be a play on words, that the same term is used, sending. What is the kind of mystical connection, inherent connection between sending the bird away and hastening Mashiach? The Zohar actually kind of almost turns it around on its head, because we always think of this as an act of compassion to save the mother bird from pain. Zohar says no. When the mother experiences being sent away from her young, this is a very painful act. The mother cries, the babies cry. What does that do? That evokes divine mercy. That brings about Hashem's compassion on us. We have been sent away into exile. So in the words of the Zohar, and that's in Aramaic, there on the right side, when this bird flies away and from its young and is sent away from its children, it goes on chirping in pain because it's been sent. And the Holy One, blessed is He, is stirred to compassion about his children. And that compassion is awakened for all those who are wandering from place to place, meaning that they're in exile, they are in Galut. And that is what brings about Hashem's compassion. He says, no, let's take them out of Galut. And this brought down in Zohar, and it's also brought down in many other sources to explain Zohar Chadash, the book of Ruth. But it explains kind of a connection. We're going to take it a little bit deeper. Because still sticking with the Zohar uses a very interesting term for where Mashiach is right now. Where are we here? Yes. Zohar talks about the chamber of Mashiach. He says that chamber of Mashiach, which Hashem, is, and this is obviously somebody who was being taken on the tour of chambers up above and is being shown all the chambers, and there's one hidden and concealed chamber. It's called the bird's nest. And from there, crowds are prepared for Mashiach in the time to come. So Mashiach is kept in a bird's nest, and he has to burst out as if he was tied in chains, and yeah, that's the term that's used. He's tied in chains, and he has to burst out. He has to get out of his chains to be freed. How is that going to happen? Well, obviously, we have a role in this. And one last allusion to the word Cain, or a nest, is Cain is the numerical value of 150. What do we have in that number? 150 is a number of psalms in the book of Tehillim, compiled, put together, composed for a large part by King David. King David, ancestor of Mashiach, is giving us a tool to bring his son, grandson, great grandson, or descendant, to be freed from these chains. And it's our saying of Tehillim that allows him to burst out of this chamber of Mashiach, the bird's nest, as it's called, to be able to effect the redemption. But here we come to something very fascinating, brought down the name of the Baal Shem Tov. The Baal Shem Tov explains to us how it's very personal. It's just not Mashiach is bound in chains in some kind of a chamber, and we got to help him get out. We actually need to deal with Mashiach at a much more personal level and dimension. And the Baal Shem Tov introduces us to the idea of Mashiach within each of us. So this is brought down in a book called the Baal Shem Tov didn't write books. So it's all his Torahs, his teachings that are quoted by disciples or passed down orally and brought down in various books. This one is called Ma'or Einayim. And in this book, he quotes the Baal Shem Tov. He says, every Jew must repair and prepare the part of the stature of Mashiach that belongs to his soul. Essentially, every one of us possesses within us a spark of Mashiach. There's a Mashiach element within us, which I'll show you in a moment, is actually something that we sometimes aware of and resonates with us. And that spark of Mashiach is imprisoned within us. Just like we said that Mashiach is imprisoned in chains in that Heichal Mashiach in the chamber of Mashiach. It's imprisoned within us, and we have to endeavor to set that free. So when are we aware of this spark of Mashiach? Again, this is something which is quoted to us in the name of the Baal Shem Tov in a book called Ber Yaakov Chaim. And there he quotes the Baal Shem Tov, who says, whenever you have a spiritual awakening, suddenly you feel a stirring inside, whether it's in Torah, whether it's in prayer, whether it's in, suddenly you feel compelled to do a mitzvah, that comes from that portion of Mashiach that's present within all our souls. So we need to accept that there's, appreciate that there's that dimension of Mashiach within us. And that dimension is imprisoned within us. And that we have to work at freeing it. And that's a very powerful idea. Appreciating, understanding that we have a spark of Mashiach within us will help us appreciate, understand the use or the apparent misuse of a quote. That's a quote in Isaiah, uh, there, chapter 11. It says, "The Spirit of the Lord shall rest upon him, a spirit of wisdom and understanding, a spirit of counsel and strength, a spirit of knowledge and awe of the Lord." Now, who are we talking about? If you look in the context, we're talking about Mashiach. And Hashem is saying that the time will come. Well, Isaiah is saying in his prophecy, the Spirit of Hashem is going to rest upon him, wisdom, understanding, etc. If the words sound a little bit familiar, then you're scoring very high tonight. There is a paragraph that is said in Shul um, on days on Yontif, when the Ark is open before Torah reading. And we then say Hashem, 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 Ekel Rachum V'Chanun, repeat it 3 times. And then there's small print. The small print, which begin Ribono Shel Olam, it's a very powerful prayer. And at the end of that prayer, towards the end of that prayer, it says, and may the words of the prophet be fulfilled, and quoting from Isaiah, upon me. Now, what does that mean? May it be upon me. Now, most people actually skip the Ribono Shel Olam and kind of sit there just daydreaming until finally the community intones Va'ani tefilati. And everyone's just wondering, well, why is that taking so long? What's the Chazan being doing? Mumbling on the bimah. Why can't he just get on with it? It's getting late. We gotta hear the Torah, hear the shofar, whatever it is. What is that paragraph? Powerful, powerful little prayer. Coming up to Rosh Hashanah, spend a few minutes looking at actually the words of this prayer and reciting it and saying it. How do we say about a verse that's written about Mashiach, made this be fulfilled upon us? But according to the doctrine of the Baal Shem Tov that says everybody has a spark of Mashiach in them, Right? We want that concept, that idea, that promise of Mashiach to be fulfilled in us because we want our personal Mashiach to be redeemed. Our personal Mashiach is 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 uh, is bound up in chains. Um, what are the chains? Our own limitations, um, the things that still that voice when the little spark of Mashiach within us is ready to burst out. And how do we still it? With fear, inhibitions, embarrassment, peer pressure. Those are all the chains that keep our little Mashiach within us. We have to break the chains open and let our Mashiach burst out. That means getting rid of all um, of these yeah, inhibitions, limitations, and kind of burst out of all of this. And then we're able to let our Mashiach free. Our Mashiach goes free, so does yours, so does yours, so does yours. And the entire Klal Yisrael's Mashiachs go free. Then Mashiach himself, not the little sparks of each one, is freed by all our actions, and his chains, burst out, and he is freed from the bird's nest in which is being kept, called the chamber of Mashiach there in heaven. So that's what we have to strive for. Um, and this is particularly true during this period of time. It's a month of Elul. And I think so many people get Elul wrong. It's a month of 30 days to Rosh Hashanah and judgment and the wind of Elul that blows and it instills fear within all of us. So there's of course a Hasidic take on it, and there's a famous parable which the Alter Rebbe describes in a book called Likutei Torah. I mean, he's the author of the Tanya, but there's many other writings that he publicized and published. And in the book of Likutei Torah, it gives us a parable about the month of Elul. That's actually, everyone knows about the king in the field. What does it mean, the king is in the field? You got to read the whole quote to understand about the king being in the field. And talking about the month of Elul, the Alter Rebbe in Likutei Torah says, think of this month of Elul as a king before entering the city who is met by the townspeople in the field. So there is the king in the field. But there, anyone who wishes may go out to greet him. He receives them all graciously and shows a smiling countenance to everyone. It's a wonderful month. It's a month of divine embrace. It's a month when Hashem is smiling at us. Why is he smiling at us? I mean, should we be embarrassed and afraid to face the king? The king can see inside of us. He can see the spark of Mashiach. He can see that spark that's in there, and he wants to help us um, to to uh, to burst it out of his chains and get it out there and then free it. And this is a month of opportunity. It's a month not where we have to be afraid of Hashem, and of course, I mean, one has to have a fear of heaven at all times. But one has to actually appreciate that Hashem loves us and He's out there in a place where He's accessible more than any other time of the year. And He's going to show us a smiling face. He's going to greet us graciously, uh, irrespective of what level we're at. And there will be a time for judgment. That's not Elul. Elul is about accepting that divine embrace. So that really is the deeper mystical dimension or level of the sending away of the mother bird. Shalech Shalech Ha'em. It's about that which is holding us back, holding us in the nest, holding us imprisoned and covered in chains of inhibition and fear and peer pressure and everything else which allows us. And the month of Elul is the opportunity that we have. Always this parsha is always read in the month of Elul, Ki Teitzei. You can let your Mashiach free. And when you let your Mashiach free, and all of us do this, then you can bring freedom to the entire world and bring that redemption of Mashiach that's so long awaited. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful evening.